Well, hello everyone and welcome. This is Dr. Frank Liberti. Now, here's the deal. Let me see. I wish I could see who was on. Man, I wish I could have a listing of who was on. You know that? Because I want my members on this program. This is intended for the members. Not all of you are on. Could you call Gina and have her just reach out to those guys, send another email, make some calls, tell them to get on or whatever. All right. Anyway, welcome. Thank you for being here. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Gina's on, so she hears me.
Yes.
Gina.
Okay.
What'd you say?
There's 15 people on right now.
I know who's on. Where's the rest of them is what I want to know. See if she can reach out and give them a call or
he wants
spank them or something.
It's not on there.
All right, listen, this information is very vital, okay? And I welcome you to be on this presentation. You got to hang up. Hang up. I welcome this presentation, please. You know, she can just call the people. She can hear what I'm saying right now anyway. All right, listen. Every Thursday, 1 o'clock, same place, same time, same login. Don't wait for an invitation. Just be here. Now, I have to tell you this. This is designed to help you increase your business, become more efficient, make more money, save more time. Very valuable information. It is designed for my members only. You paid so much money to get in this program. You should be here. So don't wait for an invitation. You know why? I don't want anybody on this webinar unless they're in my program. So I'm not going to send out any more emails to anybody. I've got like 800 people that have the Zoo system, and they're not using it the way they're supposed to. So we've changed everything around. Now I want you to get vetted by me, trained by me, attend the seminar, you get all the extra program materials, and you get all the staff working with you to build your business. And then Thursday is going to be a vital or integral part of how we're advancing the program. So you got to be here every Thursday, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Let me say this to you, if I might tell you this. If you are unable to rearrange your schedule, if you can't rearrange 1 hour of 1 week, then just please take our time management program. Because all I'm asking you to do is 1 hour once a week. If you can't do that, then you need help managing your time. This is designed to help you make tens of thousands of dollars. So you want to be here at this program every month, especially if you're a member. You're paying a big amount of money, large sum, to be in the program. Why not get the benefits of the program material? So we're going to go ahead and once again reach out to our program members. I see more and more people are coming on board now, which is good. I've got something for you today. I want to tell you the results of which happened earlier this week. One of our members is going to be able to implement what we're going to teach you today to make $97,000 a month in additional billing. Another member is at $17,000 additional monthly billing. Another is at $37,000 additional monthly billing. And the last one I consulted with yesterday, over $240,000 a month in additional services that he could provide using what I'm going to teach you now. Those numbers are based on the current volume of personal injury patients that these members get. So yesterday I consulted 4 doctors. The biggest one gets over 58 new personal injury patients a month. The next one, I think, said he gets 40 a month. And then another one had 12 a month, and another had 7 a month. And so that's, right now, starting the program. So with doing what I'm going to teach you now, you're going to be able to increase services and your income. So we're going to be talking about profit-generating revenue streams in diagnostics. That's the topic of today's seminar. And I'm going to base it off of 5th and 6th edition AMA guides, the minimal diagnostic equipment to evaluate a bodily injury claim. These are required diagnostics, and I think you will greatly appreciate where we're coming from. Okay? So I want to see all my members on every week. I don't want to send invitations out anymore. I've been sending out 800 invitations every week. The old Gatorade. I've been sending out 800 invitations every week, and I now have private members, private clients, and I'm going to be shifting the program over to match the needs and the growth and the development of our private clients. So you private clients really please need to be on here. 1 hour a week. Your patients will come before or after this. So take this hour, take a break, learn, get a beverage, get some lunch, bring in some salad. Don't bring in Dunkin' Donuts, bring in salads, and enjoy this program and learn. Okay, so thank you for being here. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share with you. This is going to be so exciting. Oh, by the way, here's something I can share with you. Hold on. That I wasn't planning to share, but I might as well. I just got to find it first. Hold on a second. Where'd it go? Where the heck is it? Is it there? Is it there? Is it there? No. No. That was the press release. Dad, burn it. Where'd that press release go? Excuse me. I should have been a little bit more prepared than this. Hold on. That's not it. Let me see. Come here. I wanted to show you the press release. You're going to get a copy of it anyway. There you go. All right, this is Katie sending out these press releases. All right. All right, so somebody text me to let me know if you can see this. This is the press release that's going out for all of our members this week. This one says that 65% of people involved in a car accident will be misdiagnosed of a serious injury. Dr. Warren says there's a misdiagnosed injury that is at epidemic proportions in the U.S., only detectable by special computer analysis. The human eye is not able to see this neck injury, which is accountable for up to 65% of injured victims being misdiagnosed. Anyway, this is being customized, sent out on your AWA letterhead, and it's going to every one of our clients. Thank you for the text. Going out on behalf of every one of our clients. The first press release goes to the Sunday newspaper and to the editor of the County Bar Journal. Later this month, we're submitting the article to the County Bar Journal. So this is your new letterhead, and that's the first press release. We're going to be sending out one press release a month for the next year and a half. One press release a month for the next year and a half. They're all different topics, and they're all customized, and they're going to go to your Sunday newspapers, the editors of the County Journal Bar, and then every quarter we send out an article. Of course, these are all written by me, but they're all coming from you with your name customized for you. Okay, now let me get out of that, and I'm going to have to stop sharing, go back to the full screen, say hello. And now I'm going to go back on screen share and start the presentation today. So every one of you will get a copy of the press release, so you'll see who it went to. The mailer that we're sending out this month, Vicki will be sending out the mailers. Every one of you will be, this is the mailer that's going out to all your attorneys this month. Plaintiff attorneys notice 65% of accident victims have a $66,000 neck injury that gets overlooked. Is your client one of them? And then it shows a picture of the x-ray and it says, can you tell which spine has the $66,000 neck injury? Now, if you're our member, you're CLE accredited, so you can offer a presentation to the attorney that is CLE approved. You can offer them a copy of your new ebook authorship, because now you're a member. You get to become a contributing author to the book. You become CLE accredited. So this gets mailed out to the attorneys this month. This is the topic of the press release that goes to the county bar editor and that goes to the Sunday newspaper editor. This is the topic of the article that goes to the county bar journal editor. And this is being mailed to each of you. You will all receive a box of these. This is our countertop display with the tear-off referral pads. And this is for you when you meet with the attorneys. You will leave this with him on his desk, and it will create top-of-mind awareness, letting him know that every time he has a client in front of him, there's a 65% probability that they have a $66,000 neck injury that is being overlooked. So this countertop display, it's a beautiful, beautiful countertop display, is being mailed to each of my members now. Look for it in a box. When you go meet with the attorneys, you will be able to use our PowerPoint presentation, give them CLE credits, give them a copy of your book, give them a copy of this for the display. The e-bulletin that's going out is on this topic. The email, the postcard that Vicki is sending out is this postcard. So they're going to get a postcard, an email, corresponding press releases, articles sent to the bar. Then Gina is going to call them and set up a meeting for you to go over. Use our PowerPoint, give them CLE credits, hand them this with the tear off so that they know how to refer to you, and then you give them a copy of your ebook. And that's phase one of your first meeting with the attorney. So I wanted to share that with you. Now, let's get into today's. So look at the mail, because you're going to get a box of these. There'll be enough to hand out to attorneys in your area. This is the postcard that Vicki mails out. So the topic this month is AOMSI. When Gina calls to set up appointments, it's going to be for you to go over, deliver our PowerPoint presentation, give CLE credits, give them this top-of-mind awareness countertop display to put on their desk, keep nearby, so they can tear that off and give to patients. They can order the AOMSI through you, refer business to you, get CLE credits, get a copy of your book. We are enhancing our doctors' core competence and reputation in communities like no one else. You're getting the business. Okay, now let's get into today's topic. You ready? Screen share, and all I need is just one email from someone to please tell me. Come on here. Please tell me if you see this. Hold on. Hold on. Let's save this just for the heck of it. All right, here you go. Slideshow from beginning. Somebody please call me and text me. Let me know if you see this, okay? This is called the personal injury plaintiff algorithm, starting at 1:14 p.m. Here we go. What to do each and every visit. This is just an overview. Don't be alarmed at this. I'm going to break it down. I'm not giving you advice on billing or coding or fees. I'm not permitted to do that, so I'm not. I am merely showing you what other members are doing. Now, I can pretty much stand by the fees and the codes. I mean, the codes, but I can't advise you on fees. So I can show you what others are doing. So I'm going to go over this in detail. So just hold on to your hats for now. Let's see if we're seeing this. Man, I'm being text bombed here. Holy smokes. I don't know if that's good or bad. Let me look. We don't see it. Can't see it. Can't see it. Okay. There you go. So when I'm text bombed like that, usually means they're not seeing it. Let's go back to the PowerPoint presentation. Let me turn the screen share off. Start over. Okay. Ready? Here we go. Screen share on. Application there. All right. Do you see this? Do you see it? Okay. Daily visit treatment cycle, PI treatment algorithm. All right. Somebody text me, let me know if you see it. I can't see your comments on the screen. You have to text me. It's 1:17 and we're just beginning the program, so let's see. Let's see. Thank you. People are saying they see it. All right. Now I'd like to enlarge it. So tell me if when I enlarge it, can you still see it? Now text me. Do you see the enlarged version? Now text me. Okay. I need to know if you see the enlarged. Say yes, enlarged version. Yes, enlarged version. Somebody please text me to let me know if you see this. It says daily visit treatment cycle. Do you see it? The large version. Let me take a look at what you see. All right, hold on. Let's see. No. No enlarged. All right, that solves the problem. Okay. Now I know what the problem is. The problem is I'm unable to show you the enlarged version. So, okay. All right, let me go ahead and do it one more time. No, that's not it. That's not it. Hold on. Gosh, I'm telling you, I wish there was a much easier way to do this. Got to be an easier way. All right. Let's go back. Let's try to make this work now. All right, here we are. Let's just go with it. All right. Visit number 1. You want duties under duress, loss of enjoyment, monofilaments, orthoneurotesting, because you got to put them in DRE category number 3. Don't worry about this. I'm repeating this about 5 times. This is just a brief, so hang on. On the next visit, just let them know you've looked at the duties under duress, loss of enjoyment, you reviewed everything, and prep them for their next visit where they're going to get a range of motion test on the 3rd visit. On the 4th visit, you're going to review the range of motion test results. On the 5th visit, you're going to do a muscle test. On the 6th visit, you're going to review the muscle test results. On the 7th visit, you're going to do sensory NCV. On the 8th visit, you're going to review that sensory NCV. On the 9th visit, you can do the 2nd and final range of motion. On the 10th visit, you're going to review that with them. And then on the 11th visit, you're going to do the 2nd muscle test. And then you're going to review it with them. And you're going to slip in a re-exam, and you're going to do an NCV motor later on. So hang on. I want to go through all of this, okay, appropriately with you. I want to start out by saying that I am not permitted to give you billing, coding, or fee advice. So I don't intend to do that. So any fees that you see reflected within this presentation are not meant to be suggestive, are not meant to be suggestive. They are representative of what others have utilized. But you have to establish your own fee schedule based upon what you feel the value of your services are worth, and or bill for CPT codes based on your zip code. Now that's my legal disclosure. So I said it, now I'm covered. Let's get on. There's going to be 3 parts to the AMA examination. It doesn't matter whether it's 5th or 6th edition. Those 3 parts start at a functional history, a physical exam, and then a clinical evaluation. So your initial functional history can be based upon duties under duress, loss of enjoyment, activities of daily living that result in a loss of function, okay? Then you do the physical examination. If it is Medicare, you do a 204. If it's Social Security, you do a different one. If it's work comp, you do a different code. And if it's an injury claim, on your initial exam, you can do the comprehensive level 99203204, but on your discharge, you will be doing a 1191M. And so now for clinical evaluation parameters, you're going to have x-rays, DRMA testing for AOMSI, sensory testing by both monofilament and later on NCV, diminished deep tendon response with a neurologic hammer, motor testing with an electronic muscle tester. I like to see range of motion done electronically so that you can include it and bill it, an MRI as necessary, and NCV, nerve conduction velocity, which I feel should be done on every case that has a positive sensory test earlier from dermatome patterns or monofilaments or diminished deep tendon response or even motor testing. Okay? So this is a pretty darn good treatment algorithm that I would like you to take a look at. Before you begin with the patient, you want duties under duress, loss of enjoyment. So use the Zeus program and email them duties under duress, loss of enjoyment, and complaints so that they can fill it out. Now, you're going to get every duty under duress, every loss of enjoyment that the insurance companies will respect and will pay. And they're going to ask complaints. Those complaints are going to follow questionnaires based on the AMA guides to determine whether or not they have AOMSI, onset process fracture, cervical chain ganglia injury, mild traumatic brain disorders, concussions, post-traumatic stress disorders according to the guides, muscle fatty infiltrate, or vertebral basilar insufficiency. So there's going to be a couple of hundred questions that they're going to be asked, what's going to help us to determine the diagnoses. And it's going to constitute complaints and symptoms, duties under duress, loss of enjoyment, activity of daily living. If you're on the Zeus system, all you have to do is just email the patient. When they fill it out online and click a button, it will automatically populate back into your medical records. Okay? The objective on the initial visit is to establish some sort of sensory radiculopathy. Otherwise, you will not make the DRE3 category. If you fall short of that and you're in the DRE2 category, there won't be any weight or value of the impairment in the claim, and you won't have a very good valuation. So if there is a radiculopathy, if there is a mild traumatic brain injury, they have to be assessed on the initial visit. You don't have to have a herniated disc or an AOMSI or a fracture or a stenosis or compression of a vertebrae. You don't have to have any of that on the initial visit. But on the initial visit, you have to establish whether or not there is radiculopathy. Okay? So you want the duties under duress, loss of enjoyment, activity of daily living assessment. You want symptoms and complaints. And you want to use the questionnaires based on the AMA guide to determine the presence of mild traumatic brain injury, AOMSI, onset process fracture, cervical chain ganglia, post-traumatic stress disorder, vertebral basilar insufficiency, or morphologic changes reflecting damage to muscle cells and tissues. Okay? Email, very simple. If you don't want to email, use a tablet when they come into your office, and then pull up Zeus, sit down, ask them the questions, and check them off while they're sitting in your office, or just email them. Now, on the initial visit, I got to have you do monofilament and orthoneuro testing. If you have a positive monofilament or 2 positive orthoneuro tests, you've made the DRE category 3, and that's really important. Okay? The questionnaires are going to be based on the AMA guides. They're already in Zeus, so when you send them to your patients, they'll have the ability to follow AMA guide questionnaires, post-traumatic concussion assessment questionnaire, post-traumatic stress disorder questionnaire, cervical chain ganglia questionnaire, which will also reveal if there's crimping of the vertebral basilar artery, muscle fatty infiltrate, where lipoids replaced injured, damaged muscle cells and tissues, or if there's any auto-related stress or anxiety disorders. It's all going to be there in the questionnaires, all part of the AMA guide. All right. Now, you could click the computer-aided decision-making button at that time and let the software, the Zeus program, make all the diagnoses based on what the patient's filled out. So the patient's going to give us information that's going to indicate whether or not they have an anxiety or a stress disorder. And the software is going to determine whether it meets AMA guides, or if they have cervical chain ganglia, or if they're a candidate for AOMSI or onset process, or stenosis, or compression fracture, or disc. It's going to determine all that. And when you click computer-aided decision-making, Zeus will make up to 600 medical determinations, and matching the Colossus software ability, and it will make the diagnosis for you, and it will determine if they meet the AMA guides. So you're going to be way ahead of the game. On the second visit, just make sure that the patient knows you've got their back and that you've reviewed all their findings. Now, on the third visit, that's when you want to order the range of motion. I'm going to go over this later in great detail. On the fourth visit, you will explain it to the patient, the results. So here's how we like to do it in our office. We like to make a big deal out of range of motion, muscle testing, and NCV. We like to make a big deal out of it. And so we'll say on our second visit, Mrs. Patient, I have gone over all of your findings. We've arrived at some initial tentative diagnoses. And because you are an injury patient, it's going to require certain documentation to meet standards. And so we're very excited that we are fully equipped, full diagnostic equipped to represent your injuries. And tomorrow, we're going to be performing a range of motion study. It's going to take an extra 15 minutes, and we'd like you to come in a little bit early. Can you do that? Then on that third visit, they're there early. The staff, the receptionist who greets them says, oh, we're excited to do your range of motion test today. The doctor performs the test, and he says, Mrs. Smith, I'm going to review these results, and I'll meet with you tomorrow to go over them. And on the fourth visit, you meet with the patient to explain the results of the range of motion, meeting 97535 level requirements to educate the patient. And then you tell them, now I'm going to order a muscle test for you tomorrow. Again, it's going to take an extra 15 minutes. Can you come in 15 minutes early? When they walk in on that fifth visit, the receptionist says, Mrs. Smith, we're happy to be doing your muscle test today. Doctor's looking forward to the results, and let's go ahead and get you started. Then you do the muscle test, and you tell the patient, Mrs. Smith, I will review these results this evening, and I will give you a full report tomorrow. On that next visit, you sit down with them and give them education on the results of their muscle test, explain what it means, how you're going to change your treatment program based upon the findings, what kind of recommendations and restrictions you've got. This would be a very good time now for you to write a medical prescription for restrictions. Now, if you look at their duties under duress and loss of enjoyment, you will see that there's certain things they can't do. Maybe walk the dog, lift heavy items, cook, drive the kids to school, mow the lawn, take out the garbage. Whatever it is that they're not doing because they've self-imposed a limit, you have to write a prescription. So on this visit, go to the written prescription for restriction form, which comes with your package, and match what the patient has self-imposed as a limit to your written prescription. If they're not walking the dog, put down, do not walk dog. If they're not taking out the garbage, check off, do not take out garbage. If they're not mowing the lawn, check off, do not mow lawn. Now, if someone else is doing it, like another family member or outside help, a lawnmower service or a maid service, then you want that as evidence because that changes the Karnofsky score. Now, Colossus is not going to pay on pain, so the Oswestry pain scales and all those other pain scales are useless. They will pay on loss of function. So when you go to do your Karnofsky read, if the patient is doing normal, is not doing normal things, that's a grade 70, like they're no longer walking the dog, taking out the garbage, mowing their lawn. But if someone has to replace those activities, then it drops to a grade 60, because a grade 60 says not only can they not walk the dog, mow the lawn, take out the garbage, but someone else is doing it. They require assistance. When they stop doing something, it's a grade 70. When what they've stopped has to be done by others, it's a grade 60. And that carries a lot of weight in a bodily injury Colossus insurance environment. On the seventh visit, you can do the NCV sensory test. Now, you would not do an NCV unless there is a history of an injury, a radiating pain. I'm going to show you the difference between radicular pain and radiculopathy pain. So you need a history of an accident, pain, and you need a positive orthoneuro test and a positive monofilament test. So if you've got positive monofilament, if there was an accident history, if there's pain, and if an orthoneuro test is positive, the AMA wants to see you order an NCV. So we're going to go over all of these things, fees, codes in detail. So again, you're going to say, look, doctor wants to perform a nerve conduction on you to see the extent, since your muscle test was positive, and so it's going to take an extra 15 minutes. Can you come in early? The next day they come in, your test is great. We can't wait to do the test on you. Doctor's excited. Then you do the test and you tell them, I will review these findings this evening and go over them with you again tomorrow. And then on that visit, you go and you educate them as to the results, how you're going to change your treatment plan, what kind of restrictions you may impose upon them, and you will be making sure you write out the written prescription of care that matches their own self-imposed limitation. You don't want a patient self-imposing a limit on themselves and not taking the dog out, walking the kids to school, playing in the sports team without you prescribing them, refraining from that. On the 9th visit, you repeat the range of motion. On the 10th visit, you explain it to them. On the 11th visit, you do your first re-exam. On your 12th visit, you do your second muscle test, and then the next visit, you explain it to them. And on the 21st visit, you can do the NCV motor, and not a day before, or the insurance companies can ask for a reimbursement, because the ventral root scarring takes 21 days before it causes a motor latency or change in a reflex or wave, F or H. So you don't do motor until 21 days after injury. Now, if the patient was injured a month ago, this doesn't apply. But if it's a brand new patient, as long as you wait 21 days after injury to do motor, you'll be okay. All right, that's the brief. That's the overall. Now let's get a little serious about this. Your first visit's physical exam. Yes, do the 99203 or 204 comprehensive exam. Make sure you've done duties under duress, loss of enjoyment, activity of daily living, symptoms and complaints. Got to email it to the patient. If you don't email it to the patient, get a tablet when they come in, review all those findings. Use the 8-page exam form, which also comes in your packet. You can download it. Use Zeus, make entries on your first visit. Do monofilament dermatome testing, but do not do range of motion and do not do muscle testing. Now, when you do monofilament testing, it's part of the 203 or 204 comprehensive exam. You do not bundle in range of motion or muscle tests on that initial exam or during that comprehensive exam. They're going to be performed outside that exam. And you don't want to stress the patient out, take up all this time with your time and their time doing all these tests at once. So we're going to space it out. Our doctors are charging between $180 and $250 for 203 and 204 level exams. All right, now you want to be an investigative journalist, so to speak. So you're going to look for mild traumatic brain injuries. You're going to look for alteration of motion segment integrity. You're going to look for chain ganglia injury, post-traumatic stress disorder, vertebral basilar artery insufficiency. It should be vertebral artery insufficiency. Then you're going to look for, vertebral artery insufficiency. Then you're going to look for muscle fatty infiltrate. And then you're going to find out if there were any oblique G-forces. Were there side lash? Was it a side lash injury? Was their head turned when they were hit from the rear? That could cause uncinate process fracture. You're also going to look for stenosis and spondylo. Okay. Stenosis and spondylo and compression fractures. Okay? That's what you're going to look for. And you look at everything, mostly the questionnaires. Check the dense connective tissue, because if you're going to claim any kind of muscle injury, tendon injury, ligament injury, injury to the discs, or any bone injuries, you've got to have connective tissue damage. So connective tissue injury, collagen damage should be part of your diagnosis. Check the dermatome nerve. I'm going to show you the difference between radiculopathy versus radicular pain. Then we're going to check muscles, again, for nerve, motor nerve, sensory nerve, radiculopathy versus radicular pain. We're going to check the ligaments. Actually, going to check muscle, tendon, ligaments. Okay. Going to check the disc, check the bone for compression fracture, for what do you call it? Stenosis, for unintended process fracture. And you might also want to just go ahead and do range of motion, put that in there as well. All right. So take a look during that 203 and 204 exam. Make sure you look at the DUDs and LOEs and their subjective complaints and symptoms they filled out. You might want to, since it's already going to be in your Zeus records, you might want to click computer-aided decision making. Let the computer make some medical determinations early on. Now, let's talk about radiculopathy versus radicular pain. Cervical radiculopathy, that's the old code. I got to upgrade that code. If somebody wants to give me the new code, I'll plug it in, text me, or I'll have to just look it up when we get off. But cervical radiculopathy, you have to have a pathy to get in the DRE3 category. You want to find that pathy on the initial visit or you won't make the DRE3 category. So you're going to be doing sensory impairment and or diminished deep tendon response. And if you did motor impairment muscle testing, you won't be paid on the initial visit. So I suggest all you need are monofilaments on the initial visit or positive orthoneuro tests, and you can diagnose pathy. Cervical radiculopathy is either a motor or sensory chain. I'm going to call this upper, but it could be in the upper or lower extremity. You know, so let's just put that in there. And this is going to result from. Can you please call me back after 3 o'clock? And this is going to result in extrinsic pressure on a cervical nerve root. So radiculopathy will reflect a motor and a sensory change in either the upper or lower extremity, but it's going to come from pressure on a cervical nerve root. Now, historically, nerve root compression was indicated by abnormal muscle strength, deep tendon reflexes, or dermatonal sensations. However, many patients are neurologically intact, yet they present with cervical radiculopathy symptoms due to inflammatory irritation of the nerve root. So let's take a look at radiculopathy. Pathy is the key. That is not synonymous with radicular pain. So the radiculopathy is a neurologic condition which will be characterized by objective signs of loss of neurologic function. That is, some combination of sensory loss, motor loss, or impaired reflex in a segmental distribution. Now, radiculopathy does not constitute or comprise pain necessarily. Radicular pain is a pain that's shooting, stabbing, or electric in nature, and it'll travel distally into the affected limb. It'll be consistent with a massive discharge from multiple affected axons. A radicular pain is commonly associated with a paresthesia. If compression is to be invoked as a mechanism for pain, it must explicitly relate to compression of a dorsal nerve root ganglion. If you remember at the seminar, I showed pictures of the dorsal nerve root ganglion. We showed the chemicals that get released when the mast cells get injured and the cells get damaged. I showed pictures of the NCV and the waveforms and why we perform it. But this is what I want you to know here. Just because there's pain does not mean there's a radiculopathy, and you can have a radiculopathy without pain. So they're different. But a radicular pain, that can cross dermatome and myotome patterns. But a radiculopathy is a true neurologic condition with objective signs of loss of function, either sensory or motor, or diminished deep tendon reflex. It is in a specific distribution of a segment, of a myotome segment. When you have a radiculopathy, it will be consistent within the segmental distribution of that dermatome. Radicular pain can shoot across different dermatomes. So that's the difference between a pathy and a radicular pain. So because people can have a pathy without pain, and they can have pain without a pathy. So I want you to know the difference, okay? Now, go to the next slide. In their research, Weiner defined a group of clinical exams in other words, provocative neural compression test that could identify with a 90% probability the likelihood of the presence of a cervical radiculopathy, which is a functional loss. Here's what he said. These are the specific tests, and you got, Vicari, Juntura et al. With Weiner et al. Have come up with this, and they said, look, neural compression test is what we want. The AMA will accept neural compression testing as positive for radiculopathy. You got to have that, either that or a sensory involvement or diminished deep tendon response on the initial visit, or you won't make DRE category 3. So here are the tests that Vicari Juntura said. It's a neck distraction test. If that's positive, 100% specific for radiculopathy. Sperling's test, 92 to 100% specific for radiculopathy. Shoulder abduction, 80 to 100% specific for radiculopathy. Now, unlike the sensory and motor or the reflex functional losses that occur with cervical radiculopathy, the pattern of radicular pain is not going to be dermatomal. So when you have a true sensory radiculopathy or a motor radiculopathy, it's going to be in a specific distribution of a dermatome. But if you've got pain, it can cross dermatonal layers. Sensory and motor loss are dermatonal and segmental and established patterns, but pain has been noted to cross myotome and dermatome patterns. All right. Now, more studies done by Henderson revealed this, and I love this. 98% of people in low-speed impacts, hyperflexion, hyperextension, neck injuries had arm pain. 85% had a lost sensory deficit. 79% had neck pain. 71% had diminished reflexes. 68% had motor deficit, and 52% had scapular pain. That's just what they noticed. All right, let's start with x-rays. You want to get a stress series in there. So 72052 for a Davis series. Our doctors are charging $245. So the most important thing about the Davis series, if you're going to take it, send the flexion extension out for AOMSI. And I like to go to, so what we'll say here is, let me, might as well refer for AOMSI. And we like to use this company because they've got the best rates, the best reports. I ought to know. I wrote the report. Then you measure the canal space on the lateral cervical. I showed you how to do that at the seminar. Just draw two straight lines, one on the posterior vertebral border and the other in the spinal lamina junction. Any canal size less than 13.5 millimeters is going to be an encroachment. So they noted the foraminal areas after a millimeter narrowing. They said 29 to 39% of the time it's going to be possible, 1 millimeter narrowing. 30, 40% of the time, going to have a 2 millimeter narrowing. 35 to 40% of the time, it's going to be a 3 millimeter narrowing. But so the size of the intervertebral foramen is related to the height of the disc space. So severe neuroforaminal narrowing is what's associated with a 3 millimeter vertical reduction of the disc space. So you really have to measure the neural canal. Two straight lines. That's all you got to do. I will add those photographs in here and show you how to make that measuration, and I will send them to you in a PowerPoint. But we went over this at the seminar, how to measure the canal size. Because if you've got a diminished canal size less than 13.5 millimeters, you have foraminal encroachment leading up to the stenosis. It's stenosis when it's 11 millimeters or less. Okay? So these x-rays are going to be a key factor. So now when you also note that you've got a less than a 13.5 millimeter canal size, that's when you're going to see injury to the disc, tearing of the ligament, the pathies associated with the sensory and motor deficits. So you would do neurocompression testing. We recommend 10 tests for the neck and 6 tests for the lumbar. It's all on the exam form. It's all in Zeus. We recommend monofilament testing of dermatome because pinwheels are no longer accepted. We recommend muscle testing with electronic muscle testing. We recommend DRMA, especially if George's line's interrupted, and NCV if you've got positive neurocompression tests. So look at the canal size. When the canal size is less than 11.5 millimeters, then it is a true stenosis, not just an encroachment. Okay? All right. Now you want to do the ADL assessment, which is assessment, and I should say here, report. Okay, and then I should say with recommendations. All right. So you want to go ahead and get with the patient on the second visit and go over everything. Spend some time with them. Satisfy the patient education instructional time limit. Review the anxiety brochure. Satisfy the time, especially if they do have anxiety. Prescribe the home care programs that are contained within the anxiety brochure. All of you have the anxiety brochure in your Dropbox. If you are our member, we have put your photo on there. We have created the anxiety brochure so that you can educate the patient. On the back page, there are 7 questions to ask. You ask those 7 questions, review the findings, spend 15 minutes, and you'll qualify for the 97535 code. And now you can have a good Dale Carnegie visit with the patient, explain where you're at with things, okay? Go over the anxiety brochure. So, now on the third visit, we do range of motion. Our doctors are reporting billing $100 per area. Okay, so if you do flexion extension of the neck, $100. Left and right neck lateral bending, $100. Left and right neck rotation, $100. So the range of what clinicians are billing for these tests between $50 to $100. I should say not just per extremity, but per range of motion. You know, per range of motion, and regardless whether it's extremity and or a trunk is involved. So if you're going to do, neck flexion extension, that's one fee. Some doctors charge 50, some charge 100. Neck left and right lateral bending, another fee. Charge 100, that's $200. And if you do rotation, it's another $100, so it's $300. Again, you have to determine what the fees are worth for you, and you can also go by your zip code. The fourth visit, you want to go over it and explain to them, look, I just did a range of motion test on you. Now I want to tell you what it meant. I want to tell you what we can do to fix it, improve it, make it better, what we're going to be doing, what kind of restrictions there are. On the fifth visit, you do the muscle test. Now, 2 different ways you can do it. You can do it as a physical performance test using a 97750 code, or just a muscle test using a 95831 code. Now, you all know that we recommend the JTEQ equipment. And so when you get your equipment, you can discuss from them, because you can purchase different levels of testing equipment. And functional performance or physical performance tests or measurements are very, very good assessments. And they come at a completely different fee structure, billing structure. So it's a higher rate. This can also, be billed on a 15-minute cycle. But it's got to accompany a printed report, so you'd buy a higher level of muscle tester. So it's up to you how comprehensive you want to be. We have to have at least minimal electronic muscle tests. So 95831, and again, $100 our doctors are billing. So if you do biceps, left arm and right arm, that's $100. If you do triceps, that's $100. If you do deltoid, that's $100. You don't want to do more than 3 or 4 muscles per day because it can cause patient fatigue. So if there's a need to do more than that, then bring them back the next day to do the other set. So you don't do more than 3 or 4 muscles on any given day. Then if you're going to get into physical performance tests, you're going to have written reports, different CPT code, and a different assessment. And I mean, the more you do, the better it is for everyone, including recording and documenting the losses and functional losses. And that's what this is all about. So I'll let you talk to JTEQ to determine what kind of equipment you want, but you have to at least start with a muscle test. Now, on the visit after the muscle test, you will sit down with the patient, explain to them what the purpose of the test was for, what the findings indicated, and how you're going to affect the treatment program. treatment, therapy, changes, modalities, why. All right, now, you should have a clinic statement of intent and a clinic statement of utilization. You should have a statement of utilization for your range of motion device, your NCV, your motor impairment, muscle testing equipment. You should have a statement of intent, a statement of utilization for every modality, every therapy. We'll get into all that later on in our program, but I want you to be covered. I want you to have a manual of all the policies that you're going to need, and we'll start with statements of intent and statements of utilization, which should be a part of your personal injury business. More on that at another seminar, another webinar. Now let's get into electrodiagnostic, or what they call EDX medicine related services, and we'll start with nerve conduction studies. Now we call it a nerve conduction velocity, NCV, but they call it NCS, for nerve conduction study, to assess the integrity of and to diagnose diseases of the peripheral nervous system. And basically, the nerve conduction studies assess the speed, they call it a conduction velocity, and or latency, and size by amplitude and shape of a nerve response. Pathologic findings would include conduction slowing, conduction block, diminished or no responses, or low amplitude responses. And the results can assess the degree of demyelination and axon loss in the segments of the nerve studied. So you're going to pick a nerve, you're going to determine what's the speed of the conduction of that nerve, what's the height and the size of the amplitudes. So you're going to measure heights of waveforms and speed of waveforms. Your unit will do all that. Nerve conduction testing. Now, on the 7th visit, you can do NCV, but sensory only, because the largest component inside the IVF is the dorsal root ganglia, and that will be injured very initially. You'll have an immediate loss of sensory involvement. So you can do monofilaments, NCV, orthoneurocompression test, and if there's a positive sensory result, you're going to see it immediately. Any sensory deficit is going to show up immediately upon injury to the dorsal root ganglion. So the speed may go through there slower. The waveform may get diminished. A motor deficit, on the other hand, takes 21 days after the injury for scarring on the ventral root sheath to form, and before will cause a delay in conduction due to increased ohm resistance. So in 2013, they had a set of CPT codes that got deleted. And it was good because you had to differentiate between motor and sensory, F wave or H reflex. And man, it was difficult. So now you only bill once for one nerve. So it goes like this. For 1 to 2 nerves, $99507. For 3 to 4, $99508. And the fee is $120 per nerve. So you probably want to do 3 to 4 nerves. If you did 4 nerves, it would be $480. And you could do whatever extremities involved, upper or lower or both. Now, when you go ahead and you get your nerve conduction, we'll go over this with you. So I want every one of you to have an NCV, because anytime sensory test is positive, monofilaments are positive, orthoneuro tests are positive, you're going to show a positive NCV, and it's the most unequivocal test you could do. I want you to have a range of motion device, a muscle tester, an NCV, and monofilaments in phase 1. Phase 2, I want you in high-tech rehab. Phase 3, I want you to bring in a part-time MD. And we'll get to all of that. All right. So you do your NCV, and then the next visit, you sit down with the patient, you explain what the test was for, what the results were, how it's going to change your treatment and modalities, and what kind of restrictions you want to impose upon them. 9th visit, repeat the range of motion. 10th visit, sit down and explain the results. 11th visit, you can do your first re-exam. You can do a low level if you want, 213. And this is mostly going to detect if they're out of pain at this point, if the initial symptoms that produce heat, redness, swelling, and involve tissue contusions and things have subsided, or if the pain's lessened. And then on the re-exam could be a 214 or 213. Fees can be anywhere from $85. I think our doctors are going up to $145 on that. So now the purpose of the re-exam is this. You want to, can you please call me in 15 minutes? Now you want to do is, on your re-exam, you want to change the diagnosis. Never do a re-exam without a change in diagnosis. Something either got better or got worse or got added or got deleted, but you cannot keep the same diagnosis at a re-exam. Reestablish any need to change treatment plan or direction, therapies, modalities, restrictions. Reestablish the rationale for referrals, the neuro, ortho, psych, lab, diagnostics, DRMA, MRI, incident process x-ray, look at all that. Look at all that stuff. Then, it was down there. It was already down there, so I didn't need to type that in. Then, do you need functional radiographs? Has it been a couple of and I wouldn't suggest you take incident process for 2 months. Functional radius. So I'd wait 2 months. Okay. Then review any kind of prescriptions, referrals, or immobility devices. If you're in a Colossus claim, you must prescribe. I don't care if it's bed rest, ice. You must refer. I don't care if you refer them just to do home exercises. And then you must provide immobility devices. Anytime you have a strain or a sprain, you've got to rest it, protect it, ice it, compress it, elevate it, immobilize it, wrap it, strap it, tape it. The American Academy of Sports Medicine says for every sprain, they want a TENS unit and a brace. So get with the program. You should order TENS units, immobility devices, braces, wraps, straps, tapes. On your 12th visit, you do your second muscle test. 13th visit, explain the results and any change in treatment plans as a result. Now, skip all the way to 21 days and do your NCV motor at 21 days after injury. Not after treatment, but after injury. And you can also check in the upper extremity median nerve, or you could check ulnar nerve in the lower extremity, tibial or peroneal. You won't be able to tell the radial nerve because it's too deeply embedded. So we're checking median and ulnar nerve up top, tibial, peroneal nerve below. We don't have much time. I don't want to get a whole lot into this right now. When you get your unit, I'll send you these sheets, the billing, the coding. I'll send you a little description of everything. So there's a recap. Now you'll notice on here, I've got staff meetings. So let me go over something else with you. While you're being the best doctor you can be, we're sending out electronic bulletins to the attorneys in your area every month. If you looked at the email I sent you today, I explained Katie will be the first person to start building your attorney database, contacting all the attorneys in your community, building a list of at least 100 qualified plaintiffs' attorneys that we want to become referral sources. She will get their opted-in permission to put them on our list and accept our emails and our mails and our phone calls. Katie will also be distributing your press releases. I showed you the press release at the beginning of this presentation. We've got press releases for a year and a half to go out every month. You will get a press release picked up at some time during that year and a half. We don't know when. It could be when they need information or they're low on other stories. We'll know. But you will get picked up. That's going to create celebrity status for you. You're going to go a long way with it. You're going to get a photocopy of it, and you're going to put it in under a frame in your office. We're going to use it in other mailings and in your websites and in your Facebook page and so on and so forth. Now, sometimes when a press release gets released, local media will contact you and interview you. You might even get on TV. It's very likely. It happens a lot. But Katie's going to be the one sending out a press release every month to your Sunday newspaper, and your county bar journal editor. Okay? Once a quarter, Katie's going to send out the article that we've prepared and written with your name on your new letterhead that's going to go to the editor of the County Bar Journal. So press release every month to the Sunday paper and the County Bar Journal editors, and an article submitted quarterly. Now, at that same time, I showed you what Vicky's going to be mailing out. We have a 20-page magazine. We have postcards. We have the 8-page exam form. We've got brochures, we've got letters, we've got all kinds of things that we are going to be mailing to your attorneys every month. Vicky's doing the mailing. She coordinates with Gina, who does the phone calls. Gina knows what Vicky's sending out. So if we're sending out on invitations to learn more about uncinate process fracture, we're all talking on the same page. Now we're going to educate the attorneys about using Zeus to combat colossus, doing an independent medical validation to win the greater weight and overcome adjuster and IME disputes. We're going to explain to them how we can take a lowball case and enhance value. We're going to explain all about AOMSI injury, mild traumatic brain injuries, uncinate process fractures, cervical chain ganglion injuries, post-traumatic stress disorders, vertebral-based insufficiency, muscle fatty infiltrate. We're going to explain all these things. So they're going to be constantly getting mail, phone calls, e-bulletins, and we're going to be constantly sending out press releases. And Gina is going to call each of you, and she's going to find out what are the days and the times of your availability so she can set up meetings for those attorneys. But we're all going to know what's on for that month. 1 month will feature AOMSI. 1 month will feature the process of IMV to overcome IME and eliminate the disputes of the adjusters and the IMEs and win the greater weight. Different topics every month. Our e-bulletins are based on that topic that are sent out by James. The following week, we get the report showing who opened. Last week, we averaged in the 20th percentile of open rates, which is extremely high. But it's not surprising because we're targeting our audience, we're targeting our publication, and we're giving what's needed and wanted. Now, they open up the newsletters. Gina then calls them to introduce them to you, to get referrals for you. She needs to know your schedule, when you're available, so when she calls the attorney, she can set up meetings. When you present the meeting, you're using our PowerPoints that are already CLE accredited with your name on them. You're giving CLE accreditation. You're using our PowerPoints and our handouts. Then, when you leave, you're giving them a copy of your book, which you became an author when you joined my program and you met with me to become a contributing author. We can make you famous in your community with a variety of ways if you get with the plan and stick with the program. So Katie's working for you. James is working for you. Herman is working for you on your Zeus support team. Gina is working for you making phone calls. Vicky is working for you sending out mailers. I'm working for you, consulting with you, matching the programs to your goals, delivering the webinars, writing the e-bulletins. I'm available to you pretty much 24/7. So we got a great program, and we're building a great team. And so as we build the team, we build the dream. Now, I wanted you to also know, I want to talk to you a little bit, not today, but I want to get you involved in statistical management. I asked everybody within the last 90 days, what is the number of new personal injury patients that came into your office? And not one person knew that off the top of his head. You guys have got to start knowing about your business, because where you put your attention, you will put increases. And I want you increasing. So I'm going to have to give you statistical management. You should know how many dial outs are being made per hour by your billing department to the insurance companies, how many people they're reaching, how many cases they're debugging, how much money they're posting on an hourly basis, not a monthly basis. I want to talk to you about hourly stats, daily stats, weekly stats, monthly stats. A statistic is a condensed value. It is represented by a number. That number equates to production. That production is based on something prior, current, and in the future. I want to grow, and I need numbers to know. I don't want to observe by walking around. I don't want to manage by hope. I want to manage by statistical analysis. So if you stay with me and you come to these programs every week, I will show you how your business can increase by a ridiculously low amount of $35,000 to $50,000 a month using these business protocols and procedures. And I'll help you get them installed. So We're going to educate attorneys in your area to get referrals. Then we're going to go out to the public and get new patients from the public. Then we're going to get your diagnostic center built. Monofilaments, muscle tester, range of motion, NCV. Then we're going to get you a rehab department. Then we're going to try to see if we can't get one of our MDs. We've got them everywhere that can come in, check on things, get into some reporting, help you with some billing, and then get a little bit of the multidisciplinary field going in there for you. Okay? Today, I just wanted to go over with you, once again, just that little treatment algorithm. That's all I wanted to go over was the treatment algorithm. Pretty much, let's see, where is it? Hold on. Didn't we just have it there? There you go. So I can give you this PowerPoint presentation. I can make a copy of this treatment algorithm and send it to you. Let me clean it up a little bit, make sure all the codes and everything else are right, and then I can go ahead and get this over to you. You know what I mean? But let's get back to our me now. I know it's time for us to go. Share. Oh, there you go. So listen, I don't know what you thought about that today, but everybody needs monofilaments, range of motion, muscle test, and NCV. They're profit-generating centers or revenue streams, but they also give you everything that you need to have unequivocal evidence according to the AMA, and you want to be the best practitioner and have the best core competence. But I also want you to make a little bit more money. I don't want to give away names, but yesterday, one of our doctors found out that if you engage this, you could earn $97,000 a month extra. Another doctor will hit $240,000 a month extra. Another doctor came in at a low end of only $17,000. Another doctor came in at $36,000. So yesterday we had 4 doctors that could increase their monthly billing if they had muscle testing, range of motion, and NCV. And they don't have it. Here's a guy that's got 58 patients a month, and he's not doing muscle testing, range of motion, or NCV. Another guy had 40 a month. Another had 12 a month. Another had 8 a month. So one of our doctors was able to increase by $17,000 a month, one by $37,000 a month, one by $97,000 a month, and one by $240,000 a month, just by adding these diagnostics in with the business they currently have without even getting any more new patients. So there's a lot of different ways, but you got to build up revenue streams, create profit-generating centers, businesses within your business. Now, one day I want to talk to you about how you can merchandise your practice, because now I'd like you to get a nice brushed aluminum sign that says, diagnostic center, and let people know you've got a dedicated area where you've got your range of motion device, your muscle test, your monofilaments, your NCV. And then we'll continue to build and get you merchandise and give you higher perceived value among your patients and clients and attorneys using the Dr. Frank Liberty Accident Works program and the Zeus software. I'm pretty happy about all this stuff. God has blessed us indeed. Jabez prayed to God in the Old Testament. His name Jabez means bearer of pain. And we're not really sure whether on his birth he just produced so much pain, his mom called him Jabez, bearer of pain, or other reports say the father left when the baby was born, and so that was painful to the mom, but she called her kid bearer of pain, and he was mocked and scorned by all the other children in the community. And then one day in his teenage years, he said, I can't do this anymore. If I really do have a heavenly Father, I got to ask you a couple things. And he prayed to our Lord. He says, listen, I want you to bless me indeed. That meant I want everything in abundance. If you really exist. Number 2, I want you to hold my hand and never leave me alone. And number 3, I want you to make it so I never bring pain to anybody else again. Well, God granted Jabez that prayer. It's called the Jabez Prayer, Jabez. And there's a Jabez journal. If you get the journal, you write down all the miracles that occur in your life on a daily basis that you overlook, because there's problems and miracles every day that happen. And you get to write them down. And where you put your attention, you have expansion. So you could expand your godly gifts, and God will help you to expand your talents, introduce you to people, tools, connections, and opportunities that didn't exist because you're asking and you're thinking about it. You're being a better practitioner to your clients and to attorneys. You're engaging your talents. You're learning from others and adding new talents. All the good stuff's going to flow in your direction. So be cognizant, be aware. Be with me every week here. If you can't arrange your schedule to give us 1 hour a week. Take our time management course and find out what you're doing wrong, because your business is running you. You're not running it. You got to be here every Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. I promise what I give you will help to build your business. Okay, we're keeping this all business focused. Great to be here. And I'm going to, ask that our members who have paid a lot of money to be in the program come here and join with us. Actually, it's not a lot of money. You're getting all of this for around $200 a week, which was less than what you would have to pay anybody to come in and do all this. So this is a great deal for everybody. I'm happy that you're here, but I work for you. I want to deliver for you, and I salute you. Thank you for being in the program. Where are you going to be? Every Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here at this channel every week. I know I'll be here because God said so. Yeah, he told me. I'm going to be here because we got people to help. We got work to do. See you next week, same place, same time. Do not look, wait, or expect for an invitation. Just be here. Thanks. See you next week.